Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihāri Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihāri Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihāri Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Ananta Koti Vaikuṇṭha-ādye, ISKCON Śuddha Prabhupada. Prem Shri Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Jai Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Sri Navadip Mayapur Dham ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glorious the assembled devotees, all glorious the assembled devotees, all glorious the assembled devotees, all glorious the Sisi Guru Garanganitaya Gaur Premananda Harirabha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracārane Nivasesha Sunyavari Prasatyate Satarane. Do you usually say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya before? Before?
Jai 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 Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Say it.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Very sweet. Hare Krishna. So we're reading from a very important part of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Of course, every part of Chaitanya Charitamrita is important and full of great knowledge and great sweetness. But this fourth chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita is especially special. There are 14 introductory verses that Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has offered in the first chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita of Adi Lila. And then he's explained those 14 verses in the following 8 chapters of Adi Lila. And after that, the Chaitanya tree is described, and then there's a summary of Vrindavan Das Thakur's Chaitanya Bhagavata in the remaining chapters in Adi Lila, up to the point where Mahaprabhu takes sannyas. So of those 14 verses, the introductory verses. Huh? Okay. But the only trouble is, how do you read? Okay. Okay. Is that a little bit better? Someone's talking on the phone right there. How nice. If you want, never mind. You already know. So of those 14 verses, 6 of them describe Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishnadas Kaviraj has described the first 6 verses, although he hasn't composed them all, but some of them are composed by Srila Sruttamara Goswami and Srila Rupa Goswami. But those 6 verses describe Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of those 6 verses, the first 2 verses are explained in the first chapter of, I'm going to give you an exam after this, by the way, so you better listen. So the first 2 verses are explained in the first chapter. The second chapter describes the third verse, which basically explains that Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, with the purpose of explaining that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the same person as Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then in the third verse, very famous, Anarpitam Chiram Chirat Kurunavatirno Kalo, which describes the external reason for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advent. And then the next 2 verses, 5 and 6, are described in the 4th chapter, which describes the internal mood of Sri Chaitanya and why he has come, the purpose of his avatar, the purpose of his descent to this world. Sometimes in English, the word avatar is translated as what? You have to raise your hand, though. What is the word avatar usually translated in English as? Yes. Excuse me? Yes, that's a proper description, but what is it usually? Yes, Prabhu. Incarnation. But actually the word incarnation means in flesh. The Lord comes down in flesh, which is a Christian concept. But avatar means something completely different, actually. Avatar means one who descends into this world, the world of matter. Krishna descends into the world of matter. And this particular chapter, the 4th chapter, is very secret. So after we describe it, you're not allowed to tell anyone unless they are very qualified. This chapter describes the 5th and 6th verse. The 5th verse describes how, who knows the 5th verse? Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikrita Ladini Shakti Asmat. Describes how Radha and Krishna, their activities, they are not like the activities of this world. Even though Sri Krishna is the male, Purushottam, and Srimati Radharani is female, it has nothing to do with the activities of this world. Something that is very secret. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going to explain the most secret of all secrets. But he's going to explain it, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says this directly. He's going to explain this secret, but no one's going to be able to understand it, actually speaking. He's going to present it right before our eyes. But no one can really understand it if one has material concepts in one's mind. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada insisted on regulative principles to elevate our consciousness for the purpose of being able to understand something that is fully spiritual, whose reflection is here in the material world, which is the dealings between Sri Radha and Krishna, the reality, and the reflection of that in the material world is the dealing between men and women, which is basically selfish. But this dealings between Sri Radha and Krishna, Sri Radha Sharmasunda, Lalita, Vishaka, and all the gopis, this has nothing to do with the material world. But the lens that a person who's conditioned by the modes of nature, the lens that he sees through, he must see through the lens of ahankara, of false ego, which is the basis of the material world. If one studies the 3rd canto of the Bhagavatam, Kapila Muni's teachings, one understands that after that pradhan, by the glance of the Lord and the living entities, it turns into the mahatattva, the material energy, and from that the creation comes, and the essence of mahatattva is ahankara, a false ego. This material world is based on false ego. Everything in this world is based on false ego, a false sense of who we are. Material consciousness is based on false ego, and the essence of false ego is ahankara, vamudatma, kartaham. I am the Ishwaraham, Ahambogi, Siddhaham, Balavan Sukhi. That I am the enjoyer, I am the central person in existence. Now, if I asked anyone who thinks themselves the central person in existence, if you think yourself the central person in existence, raise your hand. No, of course, no one will raise. But the fact is, in our minds, in our polluted consciousness, we consider ourselves the center. And that is ahankara, false ego. And real ego is that jivera srupoi, Krishnera Nitya. This is who we are, and it's unavoidable. This is who we are. This is the swadharma, the sanatana dharma of the soul. This is like fire has as its dharma heat, as sugar has its dharma as sweetness. We are Krishna's. And with that consciousness, pure consciousness, uncontaminated, then one can actually enter into this very mysterious teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is very mysterious in the sense that we cannot actually enter into it with material consciousness. Hare Krishna, Panchagoda Prabhu. So enthusiastic in kirtan. Huh? So it is very mysterious, but yet Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is going to explain it here in this 4th chapter. One of the most mysterious aspects, or the internal, private, personal reasonings for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come to this world. He's opening a door for us to see something that is very, very, very secret. And everyone likes to know secrets. Well, please listen to this 4th chapter of Adi Lila. So in this verse, a śuddha-bhakta lai karuna avatāra. How are we going to do this? Because this is here, I'm having a little problems there. Maybe this will work. So please repeat after me. A śuddha-bhakta lai karimu. Actually, someone who can speak Bengali with a Bengali accent instead of with a Brooklyn accent, it may work out better.
Śuddha-bhakta karimu avatāra.
That's perfect. Śuddha-avatāra. Vividha-vidha vihāra.
Vaikuṇṭhādye nāhi līlāra pracāra. Say Lila kariba yāte mora camatkāra.
Morris, would you like to?
Go ahead, Mark. You're supposed to have the class.
এই শুদ্ধ ভক্তর না করিনু অবতার
A śuddha-bhakta.
করিব বিবিধ-বিধ অদ্ভুত বিহার বৈকুণ্ঠাদ্যে নাহি যে যে লীলার প্রচার
Nāhi.
শেষে লীলা করিব যাতে মোর চমৎকার
One more. Who would like to say it amongst the men? Yes. Oh. Prabhu, go ahead. You're a devotee of Vaikuṇṭhādye.
karimu avatāra vividha-vidha adbhuta vihāra vaikuṇṭhādye nāhi līlāra pracāra sese līlā kariba yāte mora camatkāra.
Any of the Matajis like to chant? Śuddha-bhakta lai karuna. Any other? These śuddha-bhakta, pure devotees, lañā. What's the proper pronunciation of it? Lañā. Lañā. Taking. Karimu. I shall make. Avatāra. So here, Krishnadas Kaviraj is saying that these taking with me, these pure devotees, this is talking about Krishna's mood and his internal mood, explaining his avatāra, his descent as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Taking with me these pure devotees, karimu avatāra, I shall descend, I shall incarnate as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kariba, we'll try again. Kariba. Kariba means what? I shall do this. I shall do. Vividha-vidha. Various kinds. Adbhuta. Wonderful. Vihāra. Pastimes. So taking these devotees with me, these pure souls, having nothing to do with material existence, I shall descend to this world and perform adbhuta vihāra, amazing pastimes, basically inconceivable pastimes. That is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vaikuṇṭha, one more time, vaikuṇṭhādye. In the Vaikuṇṭha planets, nāhi, not, yāte, whatever, līlāra, of the pastimes, pracāra, that even the Vaikuṇṭha pastimes and the residents of Vaikuṇṭha, they will not be able to understand this. Even for them, Lila, kariba, yāte, mora, camatkāra. Even for the residents of the spiritual world, the pastimes that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are camatkāra. What does camatkāra mean? Camatkāra means wonderful. This is extraordinary. This is shocking. Even the residents of Vaikuṇṭha think Mahaprabhu's pastimes, what he's going, they cannot enter into them. And taking his residents of Vrindavan with him, śuddha-bhaktas, Mahaprabhu is going to display pastimes that are very, very camatkāra. What does camatkāra mean? Someone who's not Hindi speaking or Bengali speaking. Magical also, okay, yeah, it's jaduwala. Okay, here's the translation. I just skipped a few words, but here's Srila Prabhupada's translation. Taking these pure devotees with me, I shall descend and sport in various wonderful ways, unknown even in Vaikuṇṭha. I shall broadcast such pastimes by which even I am amazed. Please repeat. Taking these pure devotees with me, I shall descend and sport in various wonderful ways, unknown even in Vaikuṇṭha. I shall broadcast such pastimes by which even I am amazed. So what do you see in this verse that is, even in the verse, without even yet reading Srila Prabhupada's purport, what is astounding in this verse? What is Krishna thinking that is amazing in this? What is he presenting? Yes?
The pastimes.
Yes, what about the pastimes? Yes, they're līlas, but what about them? You have to raise your hand though. Yes? Excuse me? That Krishna, who is sarvagya, who knows everything, past, present, and future, he's going to do things, perform activities that even he is amazed by. Now, how can one who knows everything be amazed by anything? That's one way to look at it. But another way to look at it is, can you be amazed by something? Can you be amazed by something? Huh? Can you personally be amazed by something? You? Yes. So is it possible that you can have something that Krishna doesn't have? Not possible. But how can someone who is sarvagya, knows everything past, present, and future, how can he be amazed by something? And surprised by something? This is the wonder of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan that we shall speak of in a few moments. But just consider this point, that Mahaprabhu is going to, Krishna in the form of Mahaprabhu, in the mood of Srimati Radharani, is going to perform such amazing pastimes that the residents of Vaikuṇṭha can't understand. And not only that, still more amazing is that he himself is amazed, camatkāra, by the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when we read Chaitanya Charitamrita, we keep that in mind. And if we think that, oh, I've read this before, then we're not looking deeply. We're looking just on the surface. And on the surface, if we read things or understand things on the surface, we will continuously get bored and think, I know this, what's next? But these books are unlimitedly deep. And if we become deep, they will become camatkāra for us. So I'll read the translation again and then read Srila Prabhupada's purport. Taking these pure devotees, this is Krishna's thinking, explaining, because this chapter is explaining in two verses of the 5th and 6th verse of the Adi Lila, explaining the internal mood of Krishna that causes him to descend and display pastimes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that are amazing. Taking these pure devotees with me, I shall descend and sport, perform līlās in various wonderful ways. Vividha-vidha, adbhuta vihāra. He's going to perform his pastimes in wonderful ways that are unknown even in Vaikuṇṭha. I shall broadcast such pastimes. Pracāra is preaching, which means broadcasting. He wants these pastimes broadcast, amazingly enough, even though they are so difficult to understand. But Prabhupada will explain it right in the beginning. We are meant to understand these pastimes in depth. I shall broadcast such pastimes, by which even I, Krishna himself, is amazed. That in itself is amazing. Here is Srila Prabhupada's purport. I would suggest we listen very carefully. It is not long. There's 2 short paragraphs. Lord Krishna, in the form of Lord Chaitanya, educates his devotees. That is us, aspiring to be devotees. He wants to educate us. Lord Krishna, in the form of Lord Chaitanya, he educates his devotees to what? To develop progressively to the stage of pure devotional service. Because anyabilasi tisanyam gyana kamara navrita. Do you know that verse? Would you like to learn it? It defines pure devotional service. And Srila Jiva Goswami explains that unless our devotional service is śuddha, pure, we will not get the result of bhava bhakti. If it's misra, mixed with different jnana, karma, anavrita, different desires, I want something for me, we will not get the result of bhava bhakti, which is the purpose of sadhana bhakti. So he wants, see, Lord Krishna in the form of Lord Chaitanya educates his devotees to develop progressively, step by step, to the stage of pure devotional service. Thus, he appears, he descends, he appears periodically, now regularly, as a devotee to take part in various wonderful activities depicted in his sublime philosophy and teachings. So he's going to perform activities that have 2 purposes. In the previous verse, the 3rd verse, he explains one purpose. Kaviraj Goswami explains one purpose of his descent, and that is to spread devotional service, pure devotional service. Pure devotional service in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan through chanting the holy names of Krishna. He wants to give this to everyone, all over the world, in every town and village. But there's an internal reason. That's the external reason. The internal reason is his own mood. His own mood, which is overflowing with the same mood that he's teaching others. Because he's acting and teaching the same. Therefore, he's the perfect teacher. He's acharya. He's acting and teaching the same. So he appears as a devotee. Krishna comes as a devotee to take part in various wonderful activities. His activities depict, they show, they illustrate his sublime philosophy and teachings. So we read Chaitanya's pastimes, see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, and understand them, and we understand, he wants us to be educated to understand on a deep level the gift that he is giving. And not only understand it, if we understand it even a little bit, we will become so attracted that we will aspire for this and nothing else. We will give up all the petty, small material desires that bind us to repeated birth and death, as described in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, now I'm going to ask you a difficult question. Who remembers anything that I just said that I just read Prabhupada's, the first short purport? Now, you didn't know I was going to ask you that question, so I'm going to read it again. It's short, but I'm not going to speak. And then I'm going to ask that same question. Did anything strike you? Did anything inspire you from what Prabhupada said? Or what do you remember? And I'm going to ask you to raise your hand. Lord Krishna, in the form of Lord Chaitanya, educates his devotees to develop progressively to the stage of pure devotional service. Thus, he appears periodically as a devotee to take part in various wonderful activities depicted in his sublime philosophy and teachings. Did anything strike you, inspire you? Did you want to? Usually when people like scratch their ear after a question like that. Huh? What did I say? I'm asking, did anything strike you, inspire you? Do you remember anything? Yes, Prabhu.
The same point of pure devotional service, it should not be mixed with the karma and jnana.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Mataji.
Asking us to advance progression, and thus for that reason he's coming periodically to educate.
He's coming to educate us, and we are here to learn. The Supreme Lord Krishna himself comes to educate us, taking that trouble, and when he's educating me, I tend to get tired. I've heard this so many times. So, what do you think the educator, Krishna, thinks if that's our mood? He thinks, what do you think he thinks? He thinks that maybe I should give my mercies somewhere else. But if there's someone who's an attentive hearer, he wants to shower mercy on that person. Okay, one more. Anyone remember anything else? Yes, Prabhu.
As it is said that where sarvadharma parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja, so Krishna comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to tell us how to actually slowly progress towards that goal.
Yes.
And surrender to Krishna by his own example.
Yes, advance, and therefore he performs the most wonderful pastimes. Now here's the second paragraph, and you know what I'm going to do after I read it, so be ready. And because you don't know who I'm going to call on, I'm just going to call on anyone. There are innumerable Vaikuṇṭha planets in the spiritual sky, and in all of them, the Lord accepts the service rendered by his eternal devotees in a reverential mood. Therefore, Lord Sri Krishna presents his most confidential pastimes as he enjoys them in the transcendental realm. So he's talking about the pastimes. Prabhupada is talking about this Vaikuṇṭha, and then there's the pastimes that he performs in Sri Vrindavan, Golok Vrindavan. Such pastimes, the ones in Vrindavan, are so attractive that they attract even the Lord, and thus he relishes them in the form of Lord Chaitanya. Anything strike you? Yes, you raised your hand so enthusiastically.
This is amazing. In the first 24 years of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he
Wait,
focused...
just stick to the point that you heard that really struck you.
Yeah, so it just reminded me of the importance of Mahaprabhu's second 24 years because his first 24 years was focused on spreading Harinam Sankirtan, and then his second 24 years was focused on developing the internal mood of Radharani. And it's like his pastimes are confidential and very special in the sense that even in the Vaikuṇṭha planets, they don't meditate on the Madhurya aspect of
But actually, his second 24 years was also years of teaching. Madhya Lila is all about his preaching. 6 years of preaching, from chapter 3 to 25, all about his teaching and preaching. And then the next, in Antya Lila, even the 14 chapters of Antya Lila, the first 14, are also his teaching, but to his intimate devotees who are with him in Puri. And then in the last chapters, from 14 to 19, he's also teaching, but he's also teaching and relishing the most deep ecstasies of Virahabhav. So he's always teaching, but in his final pastimes, which is the ones you're referring to really, he's teaching and relishing at the same time. And he's relishing also not only for the purpose of relishing, and Prabhupada explains this in a purport way later on, that he's teaching, relishing for the purpose of showing by his example how to achieve the most deepest internal relationship through the process of separation from Krishna. Okay?
Thank you for correcting.
Hare Krishna. Humble soul. Now everyone probably forgot the whole second paragraph, so I'm going to read it one more time. There are innumerable Vaikuṇṭha planets in the spiritual sky. Well, that's easy to remember. There are innumerable Vaikuṇṭha planets in the spiritual sky. And in all of them, the Lord accepts service rendered by his eternal devotees in a reverential mood. That means you are the Lord and I am your servant. Always like this. Therefore, Lord Sri Krishna presents his most confidential pastimes as he enjoys them in the transcendental realm. The most secret pastimes is Vrindavan pastimes. Such pastimes are so attractive that they attract even the Lord, and thus he relishes them in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone get struck by something that Prabhupada said? Isn't that's amazing?
What was it
He said that the pastimes are so attractive that the pastimes that Krishna performs in Braj are so attractive that Krishna himself becomes attracted by those very same pastimes that he performs. So that's the camatkāra. He is amazed by even his own pastimes. Now, what's an example of a pastime that Krishna himself is amazed at?
When Vasudeva Krishna saw the picture of Krishna of Nandagaon or Vrindavan.
I don't know that pastime. Jagtini Mataji. Yes, that was one of the ones I was thinking of. That Aghasura was there, and Aghasura was in the form of a... Oh, everyone's so shy today. Snake, thank you. You all knew that, Aghasura. He was in the form of a great snake, and he opened his mouth and made believe he was a mountain cave. And he wanted to kill all the cowherd boys and kill Krishna because his sister, Putana, and his brother, Baka, or this is actually Baka was later, was killed by Krishna. So he wanted to break all the hearts of the residents of Vrindavan. So because the Vrindavan forest, Yogamaya is always making so many wonderful arrangements in the Vrindavan forest for Krishna's pleasure pastimes. So the boys first thought that this was just an arrangement of the Vrindavan forest for our playing. It's a huge cave. And they started to walk in the cave because that's what boys do. They're always looking for something interesting and exciting. But then they actually saw that it was not a cave, but it was a snake with his mouth open, ready to eat them all, kill them. So what did the boys think? If you saw a big snake with its mouth open, ready to bite you or kill you, you would run the other way. But the boys, they were thinking that when we enter this snake's mouth, Krishna is going to save us. Our Krishna will save us. He will be our hero. And they wanted to relish the sweetness of being saved by Krishna. So they wanted to enter the mouth. So they entered into it singing and playing because they're cowherd boys. Now, from Krishna's point of view, he, of course, knew that this is a most dangerous situation and the cowherd boys would be devoured by the snake. So he, in the mood of their dear, dear friend, but knowing that, how could he want them to enter? How could he allow them to enter? He is the supreme controller. How could he allow his dearmost to enter into such a dangerous situation? So he didn't want them to enter. And the boys, wanting to be saved by Krishna, wanted to enter. So Krishna didn't want them to enter. The boys wanted to enter. And whose will won? Who won this contest between Krishna and his devotees? The boys. So they were allowed to enter because this is Yogamaya. So Krishna, looking at them entering, was amazed because Yogamaya, his pastime potency, had overruled his own desire that they not enter and taken the side of the cowherd boys. And Krishna stood there amazed. Vismita, he was amazed. Krishna, who knows everything, was surprised and amazed. Now, and how much rasa this produced in the cowherd boys. How much ecstasy it produced in the cowherd boys. Also, when the cowherd boys and the cows drank the water from the poisoned water of the Yamuna, they died. They raced ahead because it was the summer season and they were so hot and thirsty. They raced ahead of Krishna to the Yamuna to drink, and then they died again. This was against Krishna's desire, but how did Krishna react to that? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that he went to them and saw their condition, and tears came from his eyes to see his dearmost cows and cowherd boys in that condition. And his very tears of love and compassion for them brought them back to life. Amazing. Camatkāra. And then Krishna decided to rid the Yamuna of this Kaliya. Do you know what happened next? Do you know? Yeah? No, not you, but you. Yeah. Do you know what happened when Krishna decided to rid the Yamuna of Kaliya and the poison? No. So you're so fortunate because you have so much to learn about Krishna, and it will be so amazing chamatkar for you. And what's your name? Ajay? Nice to meet you, Ajay. Bhurijan. Hare Krishna Das. How long have you been chanting? Oh. And how do you find the chanting of Krishna's holy names in that 1 month? Sorry, I'm putting you a little bit... Sorry. Hare Krishna. But it's so nice. Do you stay in Vrindavan now? In the ashram? How nice. Huh? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Oh, how nice. Do you like Vrindavan? Yeah. Srila Prabhupada said, even when a non-devotee comes to Vrindavan, not that you are non-devotee, but even when a non-devotee comes to Vrindavan, he will experience love, separation from Krishna. There's something so magical in the atmosphere of Braja, because Krishna's pastimes took place here. And actually, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami says that this Braj is an expansion of Srimati Radharani. So that is an explanation of why there is such a sweetness in this place. Do you think it is sweet? Yeah. You like Vrindavan? You should leave your heart in Vrindavan, but not lose your glasses in Vrindavan. Okay. Actually, I spoke too much because I actually wanted to read the next purport also, verse and purport. It's so powerful. There are so many secrets in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam that if we read in the mood of what is of learning from Srila Prabhupada, what he wants to teach us, that he's speaking to us through these books, if we read and hear in that mood, we are fortunate. This is the end, the bell. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. C.C. Gaurnitai ki jai. C.C. Krishna Balarama ki jai. C.C. Radhacharma Sundar Lalita Vachaka ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hare Bol.